Hey folks, it's Lindsay Hustle with SPS back in the building over at the Detroit Pizza Bar on 6 Mile in Detroit, of course. I want to thank the Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network before I go any further. Because of them, they're sponsoring this championship Sunday. I'm happy to be with an outstanding young lady who's doing things in her own right, Miss Michelle Porter, wife of Terrence Porter, TP. As people are like, we don't know Terrence. You know TP though, TP Porter, coach over at Southfield A&T. But I want to thank you for making time and coming out for this championship Sunday.
Thank you.
This is the Coaches' Wives edition, right?
Okay.
So many times we see these coaches doing these great things in the community, and we overlook, I feel, the great women that are behind them that have to hear the stories. We talked earlier about when I was in the Marines and I finished up boot camp, my drill instructor said, man, my wife know all about you. You know these stories of these young men that your husband is working with every day, but we don't really get your story. But before we go into this, you're so accomplished in your own right. You're an author. You do work in the financial literacy world. You're into real estate. They're like, man, she got it going on, because there's something sometimes is that everything that coach is doing is all about him. But tell me a little bit more about the work you've been doing, and we can just go from there.
Okay, yeah. So I wrote a book, Taylor's Word on Debt, back in like 2011. And the reason that I wrote the book is that I had lost everything when the economy tanked back in '08. Yeah. And so, you know, when most people may go to drugs, alcohol, or maybe even suicide for losing everything, you know, I did my research and realized that the reason that caused that is because a lot of times we weren't taught this when we were in school, right? So we were able to go off to college, and when we went off to college and they would inundate us with credit cards for a t-shirt or for a coffee mug or something like that, right? Exactly. And we didn't even know how to use the card. All we
got maxed out quick.
Exactly.
I can get cash off this card?
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm not saying I did that, but
right. So all we knew is that it was a party that Friday, and we could use this free card to go, and that's what we was thinking. You know, buy an outfit for the party, and
I
years
just
later,
pay the minimum.
Exactly. So that's where the book would birth the book. Okay. Taylor's Word on Debt, and then that opened up the door for me to actually be able to get into schools, plants, and churches to speak on financial literacy, the importance of that, just so that we can make a better impact in the community. It was like my test into my testimony, my mess into my message. You know, so it's open up.
I'm bright enough to pick up on when faith is a serious part of someone's world, and I can clearly hear this in the terms that you use. Talk about how faith has helped you along this journey with your husband and just the experiences you've gone through.
Okay, so faith pretty much, you know, before in the past I was in relationships based on, I'm just attracted to this person. You're not really knowing the person,
that'll get
right?
You good looking.
So it's not, and so I had been going, 7 years abstinent, because I said, God, I don't make really good decisions, so I want you to pick the next husband for me, meaning that you would show that person to me. And it's going to be more of a mental and more of a person who's spiritually rooted and grounded in his word.
Now, my thought is he didn't do that in the weekend. He didn't show you in the weekend.
No, he didn't show me in the weekend. No, it took 7 years. It took 7 years. And I was just really faithful into the word. I stayed busy. I had a 95-year-old grandmother at the time, so I poured into her, videotaped her a lot. My family used to be like, Shell, you always in grandma's face. But then they appreciated it later when she transitioned it. I had all this document of her, and then I poured into my son and my nephews, helped them with a clothing line. So I stayed busy. I traveled, stayed in the church and everything. And then just so happened, Terrence and I, his mom, our moms had been working for the post office for over 30 years together, right?
Okay.
And so I never really met him like that because I'm a little older than Terrence, actually. And so we both had been married before, too. So when we did encounter later on in life, we both were married. And so it wasn't nothing there because God didn't want me to see that, right? So that 7 years of going abstinent, it was the unveiling of, who I used to be, right? And so when I did meet up with Terrence at his mother's surprise birthday party, because my mother is directionally challenged, right? She wanted me to ride with her to the party.
Here, baby.
So when I go there and I saw Terrence, because I saw him a little later in life, my son was going to see Groves.
Okay.
I was trying to get him back in Groves. He was going to see Holmes once I found out that Terrence was an actual coach. And I said, well, my mom cool with his mother. Yeah, so let me see if I get him back over there. He actually got kicked out of Groves.
Okay.
But anyway.
It's all right.
So Terrence couldn't really get him back in there. So he stayed at C Home. And then we met a little later on again. But needless to say, when I went to the party, it was meant to be, right?
Now, wait a minute. When you saw him at the party, was it like a halo over his head? Was it the special song? Come on, he just started gliding through. I got you, TP. I got you.
No, my husband is he's really reserved. He's more of like an introvert, but real cool. Like I know him, you know, so he's really cool. But he was just, you know, I remember you. You know, he said, my mom said, Terrence, you remember Michelle? He said, yeah, I remember Michelle, you know. And then he asked me about my son, Matthew. And I was like, wow, he remembered my son? Because Matthew is like 31 now,
Oh, wow.
you know. And at the time, he was like 15. And I hadn't seen him since. I hadn't seen Terrence since. So when he remembered my son, I was like, wow, that was nice, you know. And then we sitting down at, you know, and I was at a table with some other people that my mom, like different coworkers. So she getting up, walking around mingling. And so it was this couple over there, and I was like, they were talking. So I just turned over to Terrence and I asked him, he was watching the game. He was sitting there at the party, just watching the game. And I think I want to say I asked him who was winning or something along that line.
Now, did you really want to know who was winning? Okay, you see how the game works. We be like, we up 15. Okay, right.
Well, I mean,
you want to engage him,
but I did want to engage him. I wanted to have a conversation. So he came over there and he talked to me, and we talked. And then before I left, he asked if I wanted to, you know, go to lunch with him or something one day. And I just said, yeah, I like that, you know. And so, and from there, we talked on the phone. It's like we were teenagers in high school. I mean, for hours.
You hang up. No, you hang up. No,
I mean,
you hang up. You hang up.
It was amazing. To 1, 2 o'clock.
Or something else. And not that a woman can't set restrictions. I'm the father of a 11-year-old. I'm talking to her about restrictions already, just to get her aware. But I just think what you're saying is rooted in something else that both of you guys could kind of be aware of, and it's not kind of you making the rules up as you go, for lack of a better term.
Oh no, it was not. It was definitely faith and doing things God's way, because in the past I did things Michelle's way, you know, leaning to my own understanding and way of
husband as a coach who's out front, long nights. He can say I want to be home at a certain time, but if Johnny is sitting there with no ride home, that's another thing. Talk more about, especially for someone who may be wanting to get into coaching and they have a partner, you know, give some advice on what it's like to be a partner to a coach.
Okay. So to be a partner of my husband, I already knew what I was signing up to, right? So as I mentioned, I'm in education too, right? So I love giving back to kids. And so to know that I had a husband who had the heart to give back, because as I mentioned, as a single mom, that's what we look for, somebody that we can trust, that can really pour into our son, somebody who was actually not just talking a talk, but actually walking a walk, right? So, and that's what I found in Terrence, right? And so having a man like that, a man who you can pray with, right? So he is gone a lot, right? But he realized even with his first marriage that he has kids by her, you know, his first wife, and she may attest to something a little different, in which he shared with me that he gave so much to basketball that relationship didn't work as well as it could have. But he's learned from that. And so coming to me, he knows that he has to make me his priority. So he does the best in doing that, right? And I'm supportive because I still know that this is something that he was called to do. Because I tell Terrence all the time, this is your calling. There's no way I would stop you from living out your dream. This is what you were created to do, right? So just tell me how I can best support you, because I'm new at this, right? And so when I came into the picture, pretty much, you know, he just, you know, he goes to work. He works a regular job as a dean, right? And then he comes home during his break, you know, not his break, I apologize, after work. So he can easily just take his clothes and go straight to the high school and do that. But he prioritizes, make sure he comes home, give me a hug and kiss. How was my day? You know, we, you know, let each other know, and we hug each other, and then he's off again, right? To go to the school, and he's working with the kids. And like you say, he'll call me and let me know I'm going to be a little late because this kid needs to be picked up, things of that nature. So
I just want to go back to something. You said so many amazing, great things, and it's a testament to TP, the kind of man he is. And this may be controversial, this may get some extra likes, but you, in my definition, said some things that would be the S word, was somewhat subservient by saying, how can I help you? And I only bring that up because, as I was saying, we hear so many voices, in my view, of single women on social media and their perspective. We don't get the married perspective. When you said, look, I'm accomplishing my own right, but how can I best help you? I don't think that that's a message that's promoted a lot as far as women being able to say that, because I'm sure the reverse would be the case when the tables turn. But can you talk a little bit more about being an accomplished woman that's willing to kind of say, tell me what you need me to do, because that's just like not something
Yeah.
you hear a lot of, right?
Yeah.
Way to go, TP.
Right, right. But it's actually is in the word. And then I came from a home where my parents were together for 40 years, maybe a little longer until my dad
So
transitioned.
you saw it modeled.
So I saw
Sorry
it
to hear about
modeled.
your dad.
Definitely. Thank you. And then just like I said, my grandmother, she and my grandfather were together forever, until he transitioned. So I just always know that I want to treat someone the way that I would like to be treated. And he's the same way with me. Like, we have no gender roles when it comes to the house. I mean, he just chooses to do the yard. But my husband will wash clothes. Like, I haven't washed clothes in I don't know how long, right? And if I cook, he just automatically does the dishes, right? And another thing about Terrence, I really, really want to reference this. As I mentioned, he has 2 kids, right? He has a son and a daughter. He has a son that's special needs. He's autistic, right? And what really, really caused me to, not caused me, but really, I said, I know this my husband, just because the way that he pours into his son that's autistic, right? And just really takes great care of him. And I said, man, he's so humble, he's so patient. And I said, I know if something was to happen to me, I know he would take care of me, right?
Yeah.
He's so loving when it comes to his kids, period. He's a good man. And as I mentioned,
about that.
yeah, and as I mentioned, I raised a son on my own. And to see him, and I often wish, like, God, I wish I could have met Terrence, sooner, where my son can experience being up under the umbrella of a mentorship like him, of a God-fearing man like him.
But I'm sure he sees that. He gets that. He sees piece that he's giving
you.
Yep,
he does see it. But we just said, the timing, our timing now is perfect. It's still divine by God, no matter what. And when Terrence got on his knees and proposed to me, my son actually called me. He was like 29 at the time. He saw it on Facebook. And he cried. He said, Mom, I couldn't stop crying. He's so happy for me. He said, because I'm so deserving of that.
Have me up here.
I know.
We're doing well.
Yeah, But the support, like I said, we support one another.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
I just, and I'm not trying to be bombastic or be controversial, but I just, you hear just almost one perspective so much. And someone who was married, and I always tell people that I'm still domesticated. You hear some men that say, if I get divorced, I ain't never getting married. I'm like, no, I'm totally open to the idea because I understand what that's like, but I think we missed that. This was a part of a 3-part series.
Okay.
It was NIL, the portal, and mental health. Okay. And having you guys as the last part is going to be really helpful when I go talk to other groups like BCAM in the future.
Yeah.
When you hear those topics that your husband has to deal with on a regular basis, because NIL is actually coming to the high schools, pretty soon. They're talking about legislation in Lansing right now. When you hear your husband come home dealing with that, how do you as a wife, what's your perspective? I'm not saying that you're making a decision, you're not coaching, but these are things that impact you because it impacts your husband. I'm just curious to know what your perspective is on mental health with these young people, things about kids transferring on a regular basis in the portal, college, and to a degree in high school too, and things like NIL where you can have a young person that could probably get more cash in the household than the adult. So just when you hear these issues that your husband is faced with on a daily, just what's your perspective and take on us?
So my perspective on that is, so my thing is, we pray, like I said, we pray a lot, right? So I just tell, Terrence, he knows what to do. Just doing his best at his job, being who you are, with the support of myself. I mean, it's really nothing that you can do to change a person's mind about whatever way they want to go, but I know
put them in the headlock.
Yeah, but I know up under my husband's tutelage, been coaching for 25 years or longer, and his spiritual background and mentorship. But if it's about money, like I understand like name, image, and likeness, because I used to say that kids should get paid for college.
Oh, you have a financial literacy background.
Yeah, they should get paid for college because they're working really hard. I mean, on their body, you just never know. Just like we heard about LeBron James' son, just collapsing like that. Like they need to get paid because you never know. We don't know if they'll ever make it to the NBA.
That's a good point.
So why not pay them now? Everybody else getting paid.
I never heard it like that. I like that. I appreciate that.
And then regarding my husband, if somebody was to leave, God always got something, in store for you. And regarding the mental health is with the kids, I just think about that regarding when I would sit in the audience, you know, in a crowd or what have you at the games,
Oh,
my husband, he works with these kids all day, every day, on season and off season, and we know they don't really get paid much of anything to do this. He has, this is his passion, something that he loves to do, right? And you hear parents yelling out and telling kids what to do. That's what my husband is for, you know, because I see the kids, they get angry, they're looking back at their parents and they're like, so that's not,
shoot the ball, run down there. Ain't been in no practice, ain't no, just showing up.
I mean, he knows what they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we all want to win. We all want our kids to play.
Yeah.
We all want them to get the spotlight or what have you, but it's not about an individual player. It's about the team. We want the team to win. We want our parents to have more of a relationship with the coaches, to get to know who you have your kid up under as their tutelage, right? And learn to trust that he knows what he's doing, right? So
TP, you need to have her at the parents' meeting at the beginning of the season. Put it out there.
Yeah. So
wow. Well, let me just tell you, I knew that this was going to be a special moment sitting down with the wives, because you guys have great insight that's not really heard, but even on a personal level for me, this has been really insightful as far as what sacrifices you have to make to be able to get something that's great. You've done a great job. Are there any special shout outs, anything else you want to share, or anyone else you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
I mean, just wait. That's my thing. Just wait on God's best for you, because he hears and he answers prayers, right? So if he did it for me, he can do it for anyone. Like we say, he's not a respecter of a person, right? And if we just learn to be patient and be still, continue to sow whatever seeds you need to do, continue to love on yourself, just make yourself ready for when that person does come.
Be ready.
Right? Just
I'm a firm believer in when things don't work out, you free yourself, because that thing that didn't work out that you're kind of upset about, well, if you were in that, you wouldn't be available for what's really supposed to be for you.
That's right.
Yeah, that helps. And you let me know it can be 7+ years till it go down too, so be ready for that as well.
Whatever.
Well, I'm so grateful that you sat down. I know that it's going to have a positive impact on so many people. Keep supporting Michelle and what she has going on. Keep supporting Terrence and what he has going on. I want to give a special thanks to the Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network. Because of their support, we've been able to bring you this championship Sunday over here at the Detroit Pizza Bar. So with that being said, this is Lindsay Hudson with SPS. I'll see you next time. Peace.